come back a little bit quickly on a point that I think it's not just the government donors. I think what Haiti has also shown to us is that the speed of information is the private donors, the people who donate that $1 by the American Red Cross. And the American Red Cross faces challenges. Why didn't I spend that $48 million? Well, in fact, to some degree, that's not the best thing to do. If you spend everything in the first few days, you'd just be buying them food, you'd be buying them goods, you wouldn't have much left over. Some has to be planned out. And I think Haiti and a number of other emergencies, you know, were we much worse off? We were much slower responder? Were we much more planner? Or because of technology and because how close it was America, we could watch every minute of every day. I wonder what we would think of World War II if we had 24/7 news media, when we were, you know, when instead of looking like this marvelous, perfectly planned, we mostly saw people slogging around in the mud for days on time, not going anywhere. And I think the risk of patience, because transition, building back better, as the question asked, is about patience. It's now slapping it together. It's designing systems that survive, and that takes some time. And I think it's going to be a challenge. There are funding challenges. I think the other thing is that we have to find ways to incentivize better behavior, but not develop the master plan. You know, I've seen in many humanitarian operations, particularly refugee return operations, UNHCR, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, who I worked with, would have a 500-page plan explaining how everybody would go back to this site, and they never worked. And then when they finally said, we'll give people $30, a free bus ticket, and a number they can call us if they get in trouble, then suddenly things start moving, because people, you have to free up the spirit of the people. Most people affected by crisis are a little bit more imaginative than we give them credit. They're not things to be acted on. They're people to be worked with.
I just want to add one thing about what you mentioned in terms of preparedness and disaster risk reduction. This is a big topic these days. The Europeans are taking the lead on this much more than the US, and they're focusing on disaster risk reduction and preparedness. It's still in an early stage. They're still debating what is the best way to move forward on this one. But we also have to be careful about building back better. Obviously it's important, but a lot of people, the minute you say build, they think about infrastructure. They forget about the people. And this is where the investment should be as well, in addition to the infrastructure. You can build all the earthquake-proof buildings that you want, but if people don't know that whenever there's a tsunami, they need to go to a highland, you're only going to have an empty building with people floating, unfortunately. Educating donors, that's critical. And going back to the donors, the way they work, USAID, and I'm not going to say anything bad about USAID because they'll cut off our funding. But unfortunately, they work in boxes. They don't think outside of those boxes, and they're limited. You go to an emergency donor, say, we want to build schools with the emergency money. They say, no. We're OFDA, the Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance. Go to USAID. They deal with the development. Spend the money on relief. Well, relief is not needed. And we see it now in Haiti more and more that a lot of money has been spent on relief, and suddenly now everybody said, okay, hold on, we're not going to give any more money back to Haiti because of the development. But it's not really well thought through, because there are still gaps. There are still emergency gaps. The biggest hospital in Haiti is without funding, and that's a 700-bed hospital in Port-au-Prince, because everybody's holding back, waiting for people to spend their private money before government donors kick in. So it's never a science. We just have to learn how to deal with it better.
I think that's a great place for us to end and to talk about. We've heard that the only constant is change, from disasters changing themselves to how you organize, to the provision, to the responsibility of business and in the provision of aid going forward. And I think it's a great synopsis, and I'm confident that 3 years from now, probably at least half of what you said, Bill, is going to be true. But we know that change is going to be pretty dramatic. So thank you all for attending the Global Forum and for attending our panel.